I am not somebody who is a socialist. I believe in capitalism. I just believe that capitalism has to be regulated. We live in a society right now where too many monopolies and oligopolies can buy politicians to get their way. When it comes to the question of socialism, I'm not a socialist. I'm just a capitalist who understands how capitalism works. The biggest threat to capitalism was never the idea of government regulation. It was always monopoly. I'm simply not a socialist.
Abdul El-Sayed is on the ballot in today's Michigan primary, taking on the more moderate Haley Stevens, who's currently in the House of Representatives. He says he's not a socialist, so let's compare what he supports to what the Socialist Democrats of America support. So he claims he's not a socialist. I think mainly that basically just says, tells you how toxic the DSA brand actually is. But when it comes to Medicare for All, also known as socialized government-run medicine, they both support that. When it comes to abolishing ICE, they both support that. When it comes to packing the Supreme Court, they both support that, both El-Sayed and the DSA, the Democratic Socialists of America. When it comes to soaking the rich, the billionaires tax, where they want to go after anybody who's ever made a lot of money in this country, they both support that. And, of course, when it comes to Israel being the root of apparently all problems for these people, the arms embargo on Israel, they both support that, and that sort of runs through the center of their campaigns. Where they differ, supposedly, is that El-Sayed says he supports capitalism, whatever that means, but he wants it more regulated, and the DSA people are, like, totally against capitalism. And housing, he wants affordable housing as opposed to just basic housing. With that, let's bring in Francis Suarez, Fox News contributor, former mayor of Miami. So great to see you this morning. So it does seem like the fact that El-Sayed is trying to distance himself from the DSA, that maybe even he realizes just how toxic the socialist brand is.
Yeah, it's Michigan, and Michigan is a purple state, and so he's trying to be careful about associating himself with a name that, even though across America it's gaining so much steam, unfortunately and sadly and dangerously, he's being careful, right, not to be labeled as a democratic socialist, because he knows that democratic socialism, communism, whatever you want to call it, has never worked since the dawn of time. There's always been inequality since the beginning of humanity, and government has never been able to solve that inequality. And we're already getting taxed at the highest tax bracket, over 1/3 of our income. When you combine state and local taxes, it approximates half of your income. I mean, what more do people want than having to pay 50% of your income, 50 cents of every dollar that you earn in taxes? And what is the government doing with that? And what has it shown itself competent to do with that? Very little. Right. And so this idea of continuing to extend government as the means of production and government as a solver of all problems has never worked, will never work. And it's antithetical to American values, as you just lined them up on that board.
Right. Well, I want to put the issues aside for a second. You're a skilled politician who knows how to get elected in places that are not automatic Republican areas. When you watch Abdul El-Sayed, do you think that he has the skill to be a good enough politician, a talented enough politician, that he could go like the distance maybe?
Look, the polling shows that Mike Rogers would be, would probably beat him, El-Sayed, and actually that his opponent, Haley Stevens, is probably someone who would be more competitive. But to answer your question very directly, when you look at the skill set of a Mandami, when you look at a skill set of this guy, El-Sayed, they do fit a pattern, right? And the pattern is relatively good-looking guys, they're well-spoken, and like you said, they're very, very good on media, whether it's traditional or non-traditional, right? And they pay attention to semantics, right? Semantics is very important. In Michigan, he's running away from the Democratic Socialist label. But in other parts, depending on, what they're trying to do, because it's a populist mentality, it's an anti-capitalistic mentality, and it's also preying on success mentality. One of the things people have to understand about socialists is sometimes they're most effective when the country's doing the best, because they use that as a tool for resentment, to create resentment.
Yes.
And that resentment is what they're actually, it's like the currency that they trade. And so, you know, he does fit that pattern. Hopefully this will not be a bellwether sort of election, right? This is incredibly important for the president, for President Trump, and for, you know, maintaining the Senate majority for Republicans in November. And it's also important for presidential politics, right? For 2028, it's a bellwether of the way that Michigan will go. You know, the elections that President Trump won, he carried Michigan narrowly. And so it's very important, you know, for the future of this country that Mike Rogers win and we pick up a seat in Michigan.
Indeed. Well, you can watch more about the repercussions of failed leadership in a new Fox Station special featuring Francisco Suarez, Cuba, A New Dawn, streaming now. Mr. Mayor, thank you so much for coming on and breaking it all down for us.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube, and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.